Sometimes I think about how a lot of black Americans can low-key be colonizers.
You are wrong! All of you are wrong!
There has been a huge number of black Americans doing a lot of investments in African countries, especially real estate. But the problem is, they're coming and they want to change everything.
Now everybody is seeing what I have seen for the last couple years.
Sometimes I think about how a lot of black Americans can low-key be colonizers. You know how a lot of Americans like to be in the spotlight? They always want to be at the center of the story. A lot of black Americans are actually like that when it comes to African stories. They're not interested in Africa unless they're at the center of it. Good example is Woman King. There's also Black Panther, which had the backdrop of Africa, but they didn't even have a premiere event in at least 10 African countries. And no, don't tell me about the one or two African actors in these movies, because it's giving I have a black friend. Also seen a couple of black Americans traveling from America to African countries to have their hair done because it's cheap. It's giving cheap labor. Who else did that? There's also the passport bros who are like, oh my god, I should just go get a wife in Africa because they're easier to oppress and they don't have rights. And lately, there has been a huge number of black Americans doing a lot of investments in African countries, especially real estate. But the problem is, they're coming and they want to change everything. They're like, yo, the architecture that you have in these African countries, not our vibe. We're just gonna bring that American aesthetic. You're just gentrifying a lot of African countries, but you don't care about that, right? As long as you get money in your pocket.
And this is why I tell a lot of black people you cannot consider everybody your friend or everybody as family. Even when she was talking, you heard her, right? And I'm believing that this is an African woman talking about black Americans, but the actions or the mannerisms was that of, in a sense, a black American woman, right? You saw how she was moving her neck, how it is that she was talking. She used the terminology is given, like even with some of the slang that she was using. Again, that's not African based. That's coming directly from us. She stated how it is that black people don't really care about Africa unless we are the center of attention. Black Panther was made by a white man. If somebody can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, it should have been Stan Lee, or at least somebody else in Marvel that created Black Panther. So to try to say that we put ourselves at the center sounds a little bit crazy because we didn't even make that character for ourselves. It was white people that made that character. It was white people that made money off of that, right? It's Marvel that is not black owned that is making money directly off of that, right? And then she wanted to list, Woman King up there as well. Last time I checked, I could have sworn that somebody else also had, some helpings or some divings or some hands directly on that movie as well. But, maybe I could be wrong. But even if that is not the case and I am wrong, the main point that I'm trying to push through is the fact that black people aren't trying to make themselves the center. The main thing that black people have tried to do, at least over here, is to celebrate, give some love, acknowledgement, praise over to Africa because we understand the psychological warfare. We understand the lies that we have been told when it deals with the, 10 cents a day, 25 cents a day will help little Christina over in Zimbabwe get the mosquito net and the nice bag of rice that her village needs. We understand that we were lied to so many years and decades ago, and that Africa is a pretty rich, wealthy, beautiful continent, right? So within us gaining that knowledge, we try to, in a sense, give the respect, the praise, and the value that was lost because of how it is that America likes to give propaganda and how it is that they try to devalue melanated people. So number two, she wanted to list that there were black women going over there to Africa to get their hair done authentically from somebody who was African directly from the land. And you wanted to try to list that as some type of slave labor or whatever. I'm like, where you even get that? Makes no sense. Like you sound 100% crazy. Like the way that she is talking right now, it sounds envious. It sounds jealous. Because again, if somebody can travel to another country to get their hair done, they obviously have some money. They saved up. I've never heard of other groups of people like, yeah, I'm about to fly to Australia to get, my hair done or what. Realistically, that's a flex. I'm just going to sit up there and state that. But other than that, if they're doing that, that's better for your economy. That's working out for those people there because those women usually, if for black women, if their hair is done properly and it looks great and beautiful, they will give you tips. They will give extra money. So that is beneficial for those women there. I'm not sure where you're getting the slave type of labor there. Maybe you're having, some type of memory of the history of your country and how it is that your own people that look just like you may have enslaved your own, or how your government has done that. And again, with the sarcasm and the mockery of the supposed, I guess that's supposed to be a Black American accent, you need to work on that. If you're at least going to try to make a mockery of somebody, try to be sarcastic, at least have a standard issue accent. You have a lot of Africans that are able to do that, who are actors, by the way, but they're also in the United Kingdom. But like I said, it is what it is. Okay, so let me just get this straight because she's not being specific enough, because I know that she's talking about Black Americans because she already started off with Black women. So I'm just going to go off on a limb and say that she's talking about Black men when she's talking about passport bros, right? And she wanted to state that, we leave America to be like, oh yeah, we'll go over to Africa and get a wife that doesn't have any rights and we can easily oppress her. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Your own government oppresses you every single day. There's a variety of countries where they do procedures on young girls because they feel that if they don't, that they will hypersexualize themselves, that they'll start going directly into doing stuff that they don't need to be doing. Like, they literally have areas in Africa where they do these things. So how is it that you want to try to make it seem as though that Black men are literally flying directly over to Africa to find an African woman? Wow. So how in droves, how many Black men have you literally seen? Out of the whole continent of the billions of people that you got, how many of those are Black American men looking over there for an African wife? And we all know how it goes over in Africa. It's fine to dibble and dabble, but y'all ain't about to sit up here and marry anybody that's Black American, because the cultures are different. I done heard it time and time again. I done heard it on a multitude of videos. It don't matter where people are from. They are not, on average, they are not about to sit up here and try to find a husband or a wife that is Black American, because the cultures are way too different. Better yet, let me just separate that real quick. The only ones that will technically take on a Black American significant other would technically be the African men. The African men will be the ones that will actually be like, okay, well, it doesn't matter what your culture is, because my culture is going to be your culture, or however it basically works in that household or that relationship. But again, on average, that's not how that works. The main passport bros, the ones who started off that initiative, are Europeans. And last time I checked, when I did stories, there's an abundance of those Europeans who are running amok all throughout Africa and having unprotected relations with fields of African women. But yet you don't want to speak on those men, though. You don't want to speak on those men that's doing that sex tourism with African women. You don't want to speak on those European men that are coming down to Africa because, as you said before, with Black women about the hair, because the Black women there are cheap, right? And I'm not saying that they are. I'm just sitting up there listening to you how it is that the European males basically look and deem the African women there. And it just is what it is. This is why when I did the story that I did, you had one that was from France, Germany, wherever, and he came down there and he was going through at least 6 to 8 different areas. He wrote about it on Reddit, and he was talking about the fields of women and how he had just so much fun, and all of these women, because he was European, because he has the skin, right? They automatically thought that he was wealthy. They thought that he was rich. They thought that he had some type of money, and he didn't. He was broke. He had something, but he wasn't rich like they thought he was. But because of just the theory and because of the skin, automatically African women gave it up and slept directly with him. And then he was like, well, because my exploit and vacation went so well, I told my friend about it and he saved up money. We're going to take another trip and we're going to hit up all the other countries and sleep with all these other African women. So it's a little bit confusing to me on how it is that black men, in a sense, get looked at in a negative type of light by a supposed African woman, when in reality, it's European men that are searching, seeking, and sleeping with African women on a daily basis. Every single time they take trips and vacations, they're not taking trips and vacations in their own countries, they're going directly to Africa. But it is what it is. So number four, she said that black women were coming over there to invest or buy property. Again, I thought that was good for the economy. And I thought the last time I checked that African people, in a sense, wanted black people to come over and to invest because y'all wanted our money because of how much it is worth, right? It makes it easier for your economy. You can pull in, more money, multiply that and do whatever it is that you want to do. You guys are happy with the money and we're happy because we have some land, but obviously not because you're like, oh, you guys want to change things and yada, yada, yada. The funniest thing about that is that Europe has been changing your continent, right? Your whole area for the longest time possible, but yet you haven't done or said anything. They've taken, they've stolen, they've rewritten, they've destroyed, they've colonized, they've recolonized, and they're colonizing again. And yet you don't say anything. You don't do anything. A lot of your governments are still taking on the aesthetics of European governments. You guys are wearing white wigs and robes. Like that's crazy to me because that's not you. That's Europe, right? Especially the white wigs, really. Curly white wigs on African skin. Who thought of that? Because I know it wasn't Africans that thought of that. I know it wasn't you guys because that's not even a part of your aesthetic naturally. But yet, but yet, even with the changes that happen, even with Russia coming directly over, even with China coming directly over, even with the United States coming directly over, you don't say anything. But the moment in time that you have some black Americans, the few that happen to come over, and they want to invest and they want to buy some land and build homes, you want to sit up there and say that it's a problem. That's crazy. That makes me think that you just have a problem with black Americans doing stuff. You don't have a problem with anybody else coming over doing anything to your people, treating them a certain type of way, putting them in any type of slavery, using them for whatever means that they want to use it. Matter of fact, since we're talking about people being used, how about the fact that there's still a type of slavery, not even a type. There's still slavery going on in Africa, and it's by way of the people that look just like you, same skin tone, same skin complexion, and everything. What happened? What happened? Why not focus and try to make that situation right? Wasn't it not too long ago that King Leopold of Belgium II came over to one area such as the Congo and he slew anywhere in between 5 to 15 million of the Congolese? And then on top of that, when we look at the history of Europe and the fact that when we look at their museums, there's a lot of artifacts that came directly from African nations, African areas, but yet they still have those there as if it belongs to them. Better yet, how about the fact that you have the Dutch and many others in South Africa? That's not where they were naturally from. I did a video before and I saw the fact that they came over and they had bulldozers. They gave the people there two options. Either they can pack up and move, or they were going to make them move. And the Europeans there made them move. But yet, even with that change, even with how it is that the gentrification or how it is that the colonization took place, said nothing, did nothing, do nothing. But the moment in time that black people happen to show up, it's a problem. Mm, I'm I'm noticing a theme. I'm noticing a theme.
Here comes a new challenger.
When Black Americans responded to being labeled as colonizers along with the rest of Americans, I sat back and I waited. I wanted anything that may have been miscommunicated or misconstrued to be cleared up, to be elaborated on. And since that video, you've stated that you don't understand the disconnect, and that's exactly the point. There's a disconnect because African Americans share a lived experience here that is complex and unique in of itself. This system is quite literally reliant on our oppression to function. So when others speak on it and blame us for the oppression that we are in, as well as you, it's very triggering. Not because of something we don't want to hear or admit, but because the circumstances that we have been forced under are always blamed on us. And then we are called to fix problems that we did not create. Those on the outside regularly ignore historical context and how that plays a role in human behavior. You mentioned that we make up 13% of the population, but 30% of military personnel. Did you ask why? Did it occur that this could be because of limited or denied opportunities? A choice made out of duress to escape living conditions that our government forced many of my people in? Or could it be a result of an oppressive system that preys on young and vulnerable Black children? You did what they do to us all the time. You threw a statistic that is a reflection of our oppression in our face without understanding why, and then blamed us for it. People often simplify our trauma and obstacles to the point that the solution is made to sound easy. That way, if we object or present valid concerns, you can just paint us as being lazy or selfish. Just pull yourself up from the bootstraps. Just get a job. Just start a revolution. It's never a question. It's always expected of us to be at the forefront and risk the rights that we just got. We are only 2 generations removed from Jim Crow. 2 generations. And we are being shamed for wanting to avoid a Jim Crow America where extremists run free, go unpunished, where there is widespread legalized discrimination again, only this time under a possible dictator. I am still failing to understand how that version of America will be of any use to anyone.
I would just like to say that that Black woman there, you can tell that she is educated. She summed it up beautifully. And obviously there was another response that the African woman made that I did not see. I don't even care to see it at this moment in time because I'm pretty sure that it's going to be ignorant and just as stupid as everything that she stated in the very first video that I showcased to you guys already. And the other thing that should be added is the fact that immigrants can come directly over, including Africans, and they can receive a major helping hand and or a handout in order to get above or ahead of Black Americans. I've heard a lot of Africans say that they pretty much came over here and they saw the opportunities and that Black Americans are so lazy and they got everything from the ground up, when realistically you didn't. Realistically, the government, as what everybody can see clearly at this moment in time, will do everything in order to help out migrants. It doesn't matter where they come from. As long as they're not Black American, they're going to give you subsidies. They're going to give you even more money if you have kids. You'll get money even if you are single, if you're planning on getting married, if you plan on getting a brand new house. They will give you money for apartments and brand new businesses. It's easier for them to also get loans. So again, when you have a lot of people like this speaking, it makes no type of sense. And it always seems like there's some type of competition, rivalry, jealousy, or some type of envy. Because again, like I've showcased before, a lot of times when Africans come over, they are some of the main ones who don't speak on a lot of the things that Black Americans have to go through. So if we have to go through any type of traumatic experiences, like seeing some of our own get erased, when we're getting brutalized, when we're getting arrested, when we're getting treated wrongly, a lot of these migrants tend to keep their heads low and not say anything. But then the exact same migrants who don't want to speak on the Black experience or what it is that we go through, but yet they seem to profit. They're able to survive, thrive, and live. They're able to mix in. They're the same ones that once they get their business, they get everything going, they get their money and they get their education. They're the main ones that want to decide that now they want to speak. Now they want to speak against us. Now they want to say that, oh, well, maybe if you guys talk differently, if you guys get educated, if you guys dress differently, maybe if you guys actually respected authority, if you guys respected America, if you guys respected the police, maybe if you guys actually did what it is that you needed to do instead of being lazy and got it right. They want to start doing that type of stuff. And people wonder why it is that Black Americans have an issue with Africans and others. when it is that they decide to speak on us, about us, on our situations, and when it is that they happen to show up in America. Because if it was not for us, you would not even be over here. You wouldn't, like, nobody would really know you, to put it for a better word. Again, there's a lot of other things here, but I feel again, that the black woman spoke wonderfully on the topic. She, gave a little bit more in depth when it dealt with this. Again, this is a conversation that can go on for a very long time. And even with the plethora of information that we have at anybody's fingertips, you're still going to have people like this deciding that they want to speak negatively about Black Americans and how it is that we don't do this and how it is that we do that, and yada, yada, yada. Like I said, this is why we have back and forths online, because of people like this. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video and everything that was stated in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.